Well, say the word methadone and you'll get a response, especially in a region deemed by some as ground zero for the prescription drug abuse epidemic.
Yeah, some say the highly addictive substitute drug to wean people off opiate addiction takes lives. Others say it is saving lives. Crossroads Treatment Centers is the latest group to apply for a certificate of need in Johnson City, hoping to be the first to offer methadone treatment here in the Tri-Cities. Kylie McGivern began her investigation into Crossroads Treatment Centers nearly a year ago and uncovered documented reports of patients falling through the cracks.
Josh and Sarah, through a public records request with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, I obtained copies of 2011 through 2014 deficiency reports for Crossroads, Weaverville, Asheville, and Greensboro clinics. Among the hundreds of pages, penalties for failure to protect patients from harm, abuse, neglect, or exploitation, failure to ensure state and national criminal record checks for employees within 5 days of hire, inadequate training, dosing errors, and failure to ensure client program compliance. If you think that those are concerning, one stood out above the rest related to patient deaths. It's 4:30 in the morning. 50 to 70 miles outside the Tri-Cities. Long before the sun rises, the hazy glow of these lights provide what some would call a beacon of hope for those whose lives have been consumed by darkness.
Nobody grows up saying, oh, I want to be an addict.
Many consider it the underbelly of society, a population consumed by addiction cast into the shadows. According to state documents, for at least 300 traveling from the Tri-Cities, the day starts here.
5, sometimes 6 times a week.
At a Crossroads Treatment Centers clinic that provides methadone, just across the state line in Asheville or Weaverville, North Carolina.
I'm only 26 years old, and this clinic has saved my life.
Many patients say the travel along the highway keeps them off the streets.
It's a wonderful thing.
But the commute presents real challenges.
I spend probably about $120 a week in fuel coming over here. There's a choice sometimes between driving that extra distance and eating.
Crossroads hopes to eliminate the travel barrier by opening its 10th clinic in Johnson City.
In a lot of cases, it is the only treatment option that can keep people away from IV drug use, putting medications up their nose, doctor shopping, stealing to buy drugs. So there's no question it's life-saving.
Addiction treatment expert and professor at East Tennessee State University, Dr. Stephen Lloyd, treats opiate-addicted pregnant women at High Point Clinic, a nonprofit clinic in Johnson City.
This is the most complex disease process that I know of. Addiction, because of its far-reaching effects on our families, our work, the trauma component of addiction, particularly in the women that I see who are pregnant. These are very complicated issues.
While he says there's a place for methadone in the Tri-Cities, it's a powerful drug that needs to be regulated and comprehensive treatment done right.
I mean, what kind of certification do you have to have in order to treat addiction? You know, it is the Wild West out there, Kylie.
I started digging through public records from other states where Crossroads operates and found a state inspection report from Crossroads Treatment Center of Northwest Georgia. The report from November 2012 reveals 12 of 14 appointed substance abuse counselors were not certified or trained to provide addiction counseling services. A state interview with the clinical director documented in the same report revealed, quote, I was not aware that you need certification in the state of Georgia. I thought a high school diploma was adequate. We hire our counselors and employ them as in training. Then, within a 139-page statement of deficiencies for Crossroads Greensboro Clinic dated July 2013, I discovered this. The facility failed to implement its discharge policy, but according to the records, this was much more than a simple oversight, rather an intentional cover-up of 4 patient deaths that happened on Crossroads Watch. Text messages from May 2013 between a counselor and associate program director transcribed in the state report reveal the counselor was concerned. Quote, you really thought it was a good idea to lie to the state? I know right from wrong. Lying is wrong. You can't sit here and say what was going on was ethical. According to the report, the associate program director replied, quote, that was a selfish move on your part to tell the state about the deaths not being reported. You may have gotten us shut down, and I may not have a job. An interview with another counselor documented in the state report revealed, quote, I had to change the documentation to show that he was absent for 7 consecutive days so he could be shown as discharged and a death report would not have to be reported. It was unethical and wrong. A state interview with the corporate director of clinical practices detailed in the same report confirms Crossroads of Greensboro discharged 4 patients after they died. The causes of death are not mentioned in the report. A letter from the state to Crossroads dated August 2013 indicated the State Department of Health and Human Services issued a $20,000 penalty for violation of the Protection from Harm, Abuse, Neglect, or Exploitation, and an intent to revoke the Greensboro Clinic's license. However, that intent was later dropped, allowing the clinic to keep its license and work out a settlement agreement with the state on the fines. Back in Weaverville, for the hundreds making the trek to treatment, it's a journey they hope comes to an end with the beginning of a Johnson City clinic.
I have a job, I have a husband. This clinic, it helps us and everybody here to stay off drugs and to stay on the right path.
We tried to talk with Crossroads about these reports, and I first began reaching out to co-founder Steve Kester and his attorney in July of last year. Kester never got back in touch with me. Then in the last 3 weeks since Crossroads applied for a certificate of need to open a clinic in Johnson City, I've called Crossroads corporate office, its attorney and CEO numerous times and sent several text messages as well. Last week, the CEO, Rupert McCormick, finally replied with a text that simply said, quote, "My on-the-record response at this time will need to be no comment at this time. We look forward to discussing soon," end quote. Josh?
Kylie McGivern, thank you. You can find details of other deficiencies in Crossroads history that we've uncovered on our website, WJHL.com.